All right, what's up, everyone? This is Mr. Anderson. I'm the career and college counselor here at CV. And one of the big questions that I always get asked, especially in the fall, but also especially for juniors in the spring, is they start asking about college or scholarship application essays. It is a difficult thing on trying to know where to start, what are they looking for, just all those questions that go into this process. So I thought I'd make a quick video just to kind of go through some of those topics and some of those questions that get asked a lot. And then obviously, if you have any further questions at the end, you can just get a hold of me. So let's jump into it. So first of all, what do they really want? It's always the first question, because depending upon what the audience wants out of it is going to guide a lot of the things that you're going to actually put in your essays. So let's actually talk. Both scholarship organizations and colleges, what they're really looking for is passion, persistence, and perspective. They're looking for you to show the things and the people and the topics that you're passionate about, because they want to know who you are. They want to know either who they're giving money to or who they're bringing into their class in terms of the college. And so they're trying to find out what are the things that you are truly passionate about. They're also looking for persistence, because they know in college or in life, tough times are going to come. It's not like, life is always easy. And so what they're looking for is, how do you push through it? How do you learn from difficult situations? How do you persist when things get tough? And then they're also looking for perspective. So it's kind of that self-reflection. It's that reflective practice. It's about after either, whether it's talking about somebody that's been influential in your life or going through a tough time or something that you're passionate about, what does that mean for you and what does that mean for your future? So they're looking for that introspective type of discussion in your essay. So what does that really mean? Well, so colleges understand that the application for college is pretty impersonal. It asks a lot of demographic information and asks about your activities. Your essay is the opportunity to make your application personal. So they're looking for who you are as a person. They see the things that you've done, but they're looking for who you are as an individual, your character. They truly do want to hear your voice. I talk to college reps, especially from like Stanford, Harvard, Penn, even University of Washington, and a bunch of other colleges, and I keep asking them the same thing. I ask, what is it that you're really wanting to see or hear from the students? And truly what they say, they come back to all the time, is they just want to hear your voice. They want to hear who you are as a person. What do you really care about? Your character and what you're going to bring to the college. And that's really that important thing, because if colleges are going to accept you, they want to know, what are you providing to the college campus life, whether that's through clubs and organizations, whether that's in the classroom itself and in classroom discussions. They want to know, what are you bringing to the college? Because yes, you're going to get something out of a college. You're going to get an education. You're going to get opportunities. But the college also gets something out of you. They get a rich college culture and campus atmosphere because of the people that they bring on. So that's what they're looking for. So what do scholarship committees want? Well, again, it's the same thing in terms of the application. It's impersonal. So the essay is the way to be able to convey who you are as a person. They want to hear your voice. But they also want to see in your essay, they want to be able to identify, are you someone that would reflect the values of the organization? Or are you someone that reflects the things that the organization is passionate about? Are you going to be a positive reflection if they give you that scholarship? That's an important part of it. No, you don't always have to write directly having to do with the organization itself, but in your character and in your passion, you should be able to connect with the things that the scholarship committee or the organization that's giving the scholarships, the things that are important to them. They want someone that stands out in a crowd. They want someone that they can be bragging about, that this person is their scholarship recipient. So keep those things in mind. Now, let's talk about some tips real quick on the essays. So what are just some general tips? Well, first of all, whatever it is that you choose to write about, make sure that you care what you're writing about. I have read through so many essays through my day. This is my 16th year as a school counselor, and you know, all the essays that I read through, I can tell the ones that the students just are kind of like phoning it in terms of how much they care about their topic. So you need to make sure that you're caring about what you're writing, because you can't convey passion about something you're not passionate about. So whatever topic you choose, make sure you care about it. Make sure that your essay is providing a picture of you that's not addressed elsewhere in your application. You don't want it to be a summary of your entire application. You want it to be filling in the gaps of things that you were not able to convey through your clubs and activities, or, you know, that personal aspect. Honestly, the subject doesn't really even matter. I've seen students write about the most trivial seeming things, but they were things that were significant to them. So the subject doesn't matter. What matters is highlighting the things that matter to either the college or the scholarship organization. So highlighting your resilience, your persistence, or improving over time. Maybe there was a tough time in a class where you were struggling with a concept and you learned how to persevere and you improved in that class. Even if you didn't get to exactly where you were wanting to get to, but it was a process you went through, that's powerful. Always make sure that you keep yourself at the forefront of the essay. So some prompts that you're going to come to are going to ask things like, what is a significant person in your life? And what do they mean to you? Or what did you learn from them? Or something like that. And while it's important to write about that person, the point of that is not for the scholarship committee or a college to read about this person. What's important is for you to be able to identify, this person meant this to me, and this is how I changed because of the person, because they are going to either accept or give money to you, not this person. So don't just write about them, connect them back to yourself. Make sure that you show your values, not just your accomplishments, because your values are the things that are going to stand out more than just your accomplishments. And also your accomplishments are elsewhere in the application. Show reflection, show the fact that, you know, after something's over, you think about it and you process it and you've changed, or you know that this is what it means for your future. It doesn't have to be a big issue. It can be an everyday issue. I once read an essay about somebody that was writing about the drive to school every day with their dad. It was a seemingly insignificant moment to anyone else, but they talked about how that short 10-minute drive in the morning was that opportunity to be able to connect with her dad in a powerful way. So the topic didn't matter. It had to do with what the person meant to her, what she got out of it, and then she applied it to, that is what I have learned is important in my life, to be able to transfer that into other areas of my life. So they want to see that reflection. Don't try and figure out what they actually want. Like, I think one of the things that students make a mistake of is maybe they're applying to Stanford or University of Washington, and it's a highly selective school. And so they try and write to something that they think that the school cares about, even if they don't. First of all, first and foremost, just understand, you won't figure out necessarily what they care about, because each admissions rep cares about different things too. What they want is not what matters to them. It's what matters to you. And what matters to you is going to come out in the essay. And then one of the things that it's one of the best suggestions that I can give you, when you need to write an essay for a scholarship or a college application, the best thing you can do is to not overthink. It's just to start. Just start writing. Draft after draft after draft. Change your topic if it's not flowing, but it's not. Don't spend too long figuring out your topic or figuring out how you're going to write it. Just start writing. And usually that process of writing actually improves your writing. And sometimes you'll end up taking out all of it because it'll start sparking some thoughts that you hadn't thought of before. So that's just start. It's the best thing that I can tell you to do. All right, so let's talk about some sample topics that you might come across. So a lot of things that you're going to see in scholarship applications or college applications deal with like your passion. So like what you're wanting to do in your future or what you do in your free time. What are the things in your life that matter to you? What are the things that in 20 years you're going to reflect back and it mattered to you in your life? It could be your academic passion, which honestly is not always your personal passion. So sometimes academic passion would be something more like genetics or computer science or even welding or nursing or whatever it is, your academic passion. But then also some people have a personal passion like marching band or cross country or color guard or art or music or all sorts of things. Make sure that you're reading the topic, but just be prepared for thinking through some of these things. Also, some of them deal with personal growth. So in what area did you learn either from a mistake that you made or something like that? It's how you grew as a person due to a circumstance or due to a hardship or, due to a club or activity or something like that. There are a lot of them that talk about an influential person in your life. The person doesn't matter. It's what you learned from that person and what that means for your future. So how you're applying that to your time in college or your time going into the profession that you're going into. Some topics have to do with your identity. So like whether that's a cultural identity or whether that is a personal, something more personal in terms of your identity, or even like the identity of the area that you come from here in the Pacific Northwest, all sorts of things like that. Your culture does exist. And some people get really nervous about writing about their culture. I understand that because they'll say, well, there's nothing interesting about my culture. Well, that's not necessarily true. You just have to figure out, first of all, what is your culture? And then what has been important in all of that? I read an essay from a white male who was really struggling with that. But what he found was one of the things that was really important in his family's culture was Christmas. And he wrote about some of the traditions that they did at Christmas time. But he didn't just write all about the traditions because honestly, they're not going to understand how that connects to college or scholarships. He then wrote about some of the reason why that was important and the reason why when he went to college, he wanted to create environments for people to be able to get together and connect in something other than academics. Powerful essay talking about his culture in terms of his family. Some of the other topics are like overcoming obstacles. That's a real popular one because it's about, things that you've learned when something was hard. Like tell us about a time that you failed and what you learned from that or how you overcame that. Those challenges, those type of topics, there are some students that say, well, I haven't really had anything that challenging. Sure you have, because it doesn't need to be large. It could be something small. I read an essay from a student who was new at our high school and just wrote about the challenge of connecting in such a large high school. That was a powerful essay. I read about somebody who was talking about a challenge of trying to learn a new sport because they could no longer do the one that they were doing because of some injuries. And so they were trying something different, but feeling like they were highly successful in their past at something. And now they were like a rookie in a sport. Again, the topic that you choose doesn't always matter. It's about what you can make out of that. How you can talk about what you learned from it, how you persevered. All right, so let's talk about some real specific sample questions. So the Common App has, If you haven't experienced the Common App, you probably will at some point, but the Common App has some real specific yet common type questions that you might see in both scholarships and college applications. So here's a couple of them. So some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. So it's talking about almost anything that you feel like is really significant in your life that's not addressed in the application. To tell them, and you notice that they say share your story, not just write about what you're passionate about. No, they're saying write it like a story almost. Make sure that you're reflective and that you don't get bogged down in the creative writing of it, but be creative, but then tell how that's important to you. Next one, the lessons we take from obstacles we encounter can be fundamental to later success. Recount a time when you faced a challenge, setback, or failure. How did it affect you, and what did you learn from the experience? Just like I was saying before. Reflect on a time when you questioned or challenged a belief or idea. What prompted your thinking? What was the outcome? Again, they're looking for reflection. They're looking for perspective. They're looking for you to think deeply and then to say, and then this is what I did with it. You can then even connect it with, and this is what I'm going to do with it in the future. Here are a couple others. Describe a problem you've solved or a problem you'd like to solve. So whether you were successful or whether you're just now thinking about it, it can be an intellectual challenge, a research query, an ethical dilemma, anything that is of personal importance no matter the scale. Explain its significance to you and what steps you took or could have taken to identify a solution. So that's allowing you to be creative and talk about your passion, right? Some of them are things that you've done, but you could even think about something like poverty in the United States, the lack of food in third world countries, the lack of water in third world countries. You could talk about something smaller. You could talk about something like the need for a new sewer system in the United States. I mean, we have the same one that we've had for years. So, I mean, can you come up with something, and it doesn't have to be all worked out, but something that is creative and that you're passionate about? Also, discuss an accomplishment, event, or realization that sparked a period of personal growth. Again, personal growth. And a new understanding of yourself or others. Reflection, right? Describe a topic, idea or concept you find so engaging that it makes you lose all track of time. Passion. Why does it captivate you? What or who do you turn to when you want to learn more? So then it's talking about your passion and then what you're going to do about it. And then also, so the Common App does this, and it gets students really excited because it says share an essay on any topic of your choice. It can be one you've already written, one that responds to a different prompt, or one of your own design. Now here's the problem. Sometimes what that says to certain students is, well, I'm just going to find an essay that I already wrote so I don't have to write another one. But just because you wrote another essay does not mean that it's going to show a college or a scholarship organization what you're really wanting to show them. I know that when you're wanting to get through things quickly, you can oftentimes look for the easy road, but I encourage you in a situation like this, when something matters, like a scholarship or a college application, put in the time, put in the work, okay? The Princeton Review actually had a really cool article. You'll see there the link on the screen. We just did a bit.ly for it. But this one took all those Common App essays and it actually gave you some suggestions on how to start those. I encourage you to check it out. It was really a good article. We shared it on our Instagram not that long ago, but I encourage you to check that out. It'll give you kind of some ideas to start tackling those questions. And there's nothing wrong with whether you're a sophomore or a junior to start on this stuff now. And let's even say Common App or the college you're applying to doesn't include one of those questions. I'm sure that you can find something to be able to adapt what you wrote well into either another scholarship down the road or even the current college or scholarship that you're applying to right now. All right, so let's talk openers, because we all know If you don't grab the reader's attention from the very beginning, you most likely have lost them from the beginning. So, what are some ways that you can really grab attention? I'm going to show you some examples. Now, these are taken from a couple books that I have. So if you ever want to check out some of those, swing down to the Career Center and I'll be able to check out those books. They have to do with college admissions essay openers and essays. Some of them have the entire essay. I encourage you to check that out. But here are just a few to give you some examples of how to really grab the attention of the reader. So this one was about overcoming obstacles. It said, as the lively thoughts in my mind battled for priority of investigation, I was more than content sitting in an empty room with bland white walls with a shabby old mattress. Contemplating the vast world that I could explore in my third grade science project made me feel the significance of my imagination in my seemingly insignificant world of a tiny bedroom. Wow. That painted a picture. Do you know even what they're going to be writing about? No. But it grabbed the attention and then you get to the point of it right after the opener. That is only what? 2 sentences? Or is it? Yeah, 2 sentences. And yet in those 2 sentences, you grabbed the attention, you hooked the reader in, and suddenly they're much more engaged in the rest of what you're going to write about. Here's another one about identity, kind of showing different parts of their personality about video games and academia. For the longest time, there were 2 people waking up in my bed every morning, and neither one of them knew who I was. One boy dedicated his time to observe the remains of an assassin bug, a hugely impractical predator with a name fit for its voracious nature. The other boy spent his early mornings reading the newspaper. So, really leaves the reader wondering, what in the world are they going to be talking about here? But that's exactly what you want. You want to grab the attention. Here's another one on genetics, about finding that, of showing passion. I shouldn't be here right now. My life could have never been. There are 70 trillion genetic combinations to make human beings. Our chromosomes could have aligned to make the best human being, a person who has the strength of Lance Armstrong, the cunning of Albert Einstein, and the kindness of Mother Teresa, all in one. But that didn't happen. And then they go on to write about themselves and how they're a flawed human being. I mean, it was really interesting. But what a way to grab the attention of the reader with also hinting at what they're passionate about. You just need to spend some time with these openers. If you want to really be able to organize your essay well, you've got to be able to grab the attention of the reader from the very beginning. So, how do you actually approach the organization? So let's even say you've read the prompt, you thought about the overall topic, and you kind of have an idea about what you're going to write about. Well, here's a real general way to start organizing, and then it will not always end up this way, and that's okay. And you'll notice how similar this seems to everything your English teachers tell you in your English classes. So you have an opener, a hook, an intro that really grabs the attention. It kind of like gives the reader a hint at what you're going to be talking about. Then you show your example number 1, or a time frame number 1, or something that mattered to you number 1, number 2, number 3. And then the important part is always, you want to show that organization. You want to show how you can organize your writing, because colleges want to see academic writing even when you're being creative. They want to see that you can write at a college level. And then what you do is you end with a connection to the college or university or your future, because the scholarship organization will care about what you're wanting to do in college or in your future. They will care about that. The college wants to see what you're how you're gonna apply this topic to your time there. It needs to be well organized, because if it just is kind of like a rambling essay, honestly, colleges will look at it and say they're not ready to be able to handle our college classes. Scholarship organizations will say, I'm really concerned about this person representing us well. So make sure that it is well organized. This is just a place to start. You notice that's like a 5-paragraph essay, right? That's a good place to start. And then it might end up more like a 4-paragraph essay, or might end up more like a 3-paragraph essay. As long as you can see a very clear organization, that will be okay. All right, so let me give you a couple final thoughts. Number 1, in your essay, you want to show people, don't just tell them. You want to describe. Those descriptive adjectives are hugely important. Using all 5 senses when appropriate. Maybe not all 5 sentences, but not just about what it looked like, what it felt like, what it sounded like, what it tasted like, what it smelled like. At times, one of those, instead of just saying what something looked like, using one of the other senses might actually provide a richer essay. Also, make sure that you keep organized. Make sure that even if you're talking about something that's kind of negative, that you leave it positive at the end. That's a challenge. So like you're writing about something that's overcoming an obstacle. I read a heartbreaking essay about a student that had lost a parent right at the beginning of high school. It was heartbreaking to read it. The one thing that I worked with her on was trying to say, okay, the topic was so well done. I was so well picked. The writing was so good, descriptive. And she explained what it meant to her, but it just felt very sad and depressing by the end of the essay, which I totally understand. And what I worked with her on is, how do you not make it happy and jovial by the end, but how do you turn the focus from the hardship that you experience, even the things that you learned about yourself, and you push that off into your future instead and say, and maybe show some hope for what is to come. Because even if it's not happy, providing that hope and how you've grown and how that growth is showing hope in your life is powerful. Also, you can talk about university or organization specifics when appropriate. Like if you're writing a scholarship essay for a specific organization and you know that they have these 3 core values, well, you could try and weave those into the essay. In fact, that'd be powerful to be able to talk about their core values. It's not always convenient depending upon the prompt. And so don't force it if it doesn't naturally fit. But if it does, definitely talk about it. Also, one of the mistakes that people make is to, on a college application essay, for a college that's very competitive, let's say Harvard, is to write about how badly they want to be at Harvard. I totally understand that. Everybody wants to be at Harvard. They really are excited about that. So it's not just about saying, I am so excited about Harvard. Harvard would do everything for me that I want. Actually show them how Harvard would be different for you in terms of your experience than anywhere else that you could choose. Whether that's because of an organization at the college, whether that's about the learning environment, the dorms, the houses at Harvard. There's all sorts of things. Get to know the school that you're writing for. And then, super important, do not just rewrite your resume. Don't just go and tick through a bunch of experiences, clubs, organizations, sports, whatever, that you already have identified in the rest of your application. You need to provide something different here. You need to be able to provide depth and understanding and passion into this. All right. So that's it. That's where to start. Now, I want you to understand, you can always bring essays to me to read, and I will give you general feedback. I always say I don't edit. That's for other people that I believe are going to be better at conventions, grammar, and stuff that, whether that's a language arts teacher or whether that's a parent that knows it well, whether you're using Grammarly, whatever, that's totally fine. However, I am always willing to give some feedback on the topic and the flow of the essay and how you ended it, or the opener that you use, whatever. So if you have any questions after this, feel free. There's 3 ways to kind of get a hold of me right now. Keep in mind that I'm working and trying to be super available from 7:15 to 2:45. Okay, so I'll be checking my email during that if you just want to send me an email. If you want to actually just have a chat on Google Hangouts, log in using your CVSD 356 account, Google account, and then you can chat with me at canderson@cvsd356.org, or you can actually, I know that some students want to be able to have more of a dialogue, a back and forth, and it would work better if they were actually face-to-face. Well, in the current state of our society, we can't be face-to-face in a normal way, not down in the Career Center, not, easy like that. So what I'm also offering is some web appointments. So what you can do is you can go to calendly.com/Mr. Counselor. And what you can do is you can pick a time that works for you. That schedules either a 15 or a 30-minute appointment with me. And then when you schedule that, it will send you directions on how to log in at that time into what's called Zoom, and we can have either an audio conversation or a video conversation, more almost like Skype or FaceTime, but it's through Zoom. It works really well. So I encourage you to do that, or just send me an email or connect with me on Google Hangout. So I'm here if you have any questions. Just understand that this is a good time to start working on some of these essays. Even if you're a sophomore, that going through that process would actually be really positive. However, if you're out on the other end, you're a senior and still trying to get done with some essays, this is a good time to be using this to get as many essays done as possible for the scholarships that are out there. And then for you juniors, maybe check out Common App or what University of Washington used last year, depending upon where you're wanting to apply. And start writing essays that you feel like might be similar to what's going to be offered next year. Again, if you have any questions, connect with me, but otherwise, good luck with your essays.